Hi, I'm Sarah Pettyfer and I'm a professional family, house and local history researcher. I'm going to talk to you today about why you should use Chancery Court records for a one-place study. Now, Chancery Court records are one of my favourite sets of records for all types of historical research. Because Chancery records have survived in large numbers, spanning several centuries, they provide great historical value. They offer an insight into many areas of history, such as family history, house and property history, local history, social history, business history, but also legal and political and administrative history. Now, that can obviously both be locally or nationally. Chancery records often involve disputes over land ownership and boundaries. The types of cases which can be found include inheritance disputes, marriage settlements, mortgages, trusts, rights over lands, that could be rights of way, that kind of thing, and boundary disputes. And by examining these types of cases, you can trace the history of property ownership in your area of study, understand how land was inherited or transferred, and identify key landowners. And the details in Chancery records can provide insights into how land was used, both historically and throughout the period of time. So things like agricultural use, grazing rights, use of common land, which can be crucial to understanding the economic history of the place. Chancery cases often involve multiple parties, such as neighbours, business partners or extended family members, and analysing these connections can help you map out social networks, understand complex relationships and the community dynamics within your study area. They can also highlight tensions or conflicts within the community, whether that's over land, resources or social status, offering a more nuanced picture of the local social history. They often contain personal testimonies, depositions, narratives that provide a human element to the study, so human stories. These stories can bring about, it can bring to life the historical experiences of individuals in your place of study, offering insight into personalities and emotions. They can also offer an insight into the broader economic and social issues such as local economic activities, wealth distribution, livelihoods, etc. So, for example, wealthy landowners or landholders can provide details of their rental income, values of properties that they own, the types of properties, be it freehold, copyhold, etc. And sometimes you might find accounts related to those properties amongst masters' exhibits and documents. Debts, so you can also find cases involving debts or financial disputes, which can again provide insights into the economic activities in the area, such as loans, mortgages or local businesses, and this can help you understand the economic structure and the role of the different individuals or families in the local economy. Local businesses, so Chancery records might also cover disputes over trade, partnerships or business dealings, revealing information about local industries, markets, the economic base of your study area. So things like business trading practices, business relationships, financial accounts and contracts. Again, financial accounts and contracts, you're probably not going to find much detail about them. You might find a little bit of detail about them in the actual pleadings, but you might actually find the actual accounts and contracts themselves amongst the master's documents and exhibits. So, Chancery records, because they often span long periods, they can provide an insight into the changes in the wealth and local economy, and the development of commerce in an area over time, long-term trends. So, when we think of Chancery records, we tend to think of them in terms of court cases. However, there's many other records which fell within Chancery records in the C series that held at National Archives. So these things include inquisitions post-mortem, feats of fines, close rolls, fine rolls, patent rolls, and seizure of goods and property in debt claims. Now, for my village of Cranley, relatively little is still known about it, pre-Victorian period. And it wasn't mentioned in the Domesday Book, although it is known that it bordered it was essentially a hamlet which bordered a couple of manors, the main manor being that of Sheer Vashery, which later became known as Sheer Vashery in Cranley. And there's some good surviving manorial records into the 16th century, although they're in that period they're by no means complete. However, searching the National Archives website, Discovery website, found many records in the Chancery series, but not necessarily Chancery cases, which concern the village and surrounding area, and which I think will give me some more insight into the area in this period, although as yet I haven't actually had a chance to look at them. But you'll see from some of the Discovery catalogue descriptions, they are going to be really useful. So one of the oldest records I found was this inquisition. It's not an inquisition post-mortem, it's an inquisition which was taken for the seizure of goods or land to recover a debt. Now, this isn't actually for Cranley itself, it was somebody who lived in a neighbouring village called Alfold. And it was a debt of £10 owed by William at Vainai to John de Ifield. And you can see from the description there that it describes William's holdings in quite a lot of detail. It gives you all details about the pigs he owned, the crops he held, and all the land he had as well. And his total worth on the 2nd of April 1338 was 49 shillings and 10 pence, which is the equivalent of £2 9 shillings and 10 pence. Or in today's money, that would be £3,500. Now, that I've gone into some of the various websites that you can use, and the purchasing power for that amount of money in 1338 would buy you either 3 horses, 6 cows, 17 tons of wool, 6 quarters of wheat, and it was the equivalent of 120 days' wages for a skilled tradesman. So it gives you an idea of his wealth. So this is just a selection of another 4 cases which I found just by searching Cranley and Chancery in the TNA Discovery catalogue. There were quite a large number, and I just picked out these 4 largely because of the date, and they all concern property transactions, property disputes. You will see that the spelling here of Cranley is slightly different to on the previous slide. So do think about how places and names were spelt as well when you're searching, and be a little bit creative. But we should also remember, as well as the actual cases, the pleadings, there are orders and decrees which can give you quite a few details. There are master's records, and I've just picked out here master's exhibits and documents. I'm just searching in those. I've just randomly picked out these 2 entries. One is clearly holds some deeds relating to properties in Cranley, and the other one is again some papers related to various manors of the area. If there are records that you are looking for that you can't find in the local archives, always worth looking in the master's exhibits and documents, because you might find some of these records there. You can also sometimes find cases which tell you a little bit about the pastimes and different changing laws and administration, such as licensing, as I've got here. So, for example, this case I came across recently when doing some work for a client. It's a case brought by several petitioners, you'll see, against Sir Thomas Cornwallis, who had, during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, issued several licenses to these various individuals so that they could operate and maintain bowling alleys and tennis courts in their respective homes, for which they were to pay an annual fee to Sir Thomas Cornwallis. Now, when King James I came to the throne, he issued a proclamation on the 7th of May 1603 revoking such licenses. Now, Sir Thomas Cornwallis still wanted these petitioners to pay the fee for the licenses. And he brought a claim in the Court of Common Pleas seeking enforcement. So the petitioners then brought a claim in the Court of Chancery for relief from such payments, because obviously the licenses had become invalid because of the Royal Proclamation revoking them. So you can see from these type of cases, they provide a great insight into pastimes and social behaviours of our ancestors. You know, I can't think of many other records where you would find details of an ancestor having a bowling alley and a tennis court in their home. But also it obviously offers an insight into the change in laws and how administration of justice, or how justice was administered or not administered. And, you know, and how obviously in this case Sir Thomas Cornwallis was still trying to enforce something that would essentially mean that the petitioners would be doing something that was illegal. So by incorporating Chancery records into your one-place study, you can uncover detailed and often personal insights into the history, society and economy of the area, which contributes obviously to a richer and more nuanced understanding of its past. So I could probably talk about Chancery records for hours, but I hope this brief talk has inspired you to see what is available for your area. And I'd encourage you to search by place name, family names, and names of institutions, and don't forget variants of names as well. Be a little bit creative in your searches and go and see what you can find and see how that helps your one-place study. Thank you.